Alright, so here we are back with the next part. It has been a couple days since I've recorded, or rather a few days at that, and it's pretty nice to see a clean kind of surface here with no clay, scraps, or anything on it. So far we have Peppy looking like this, so far. So now that the head is completely done, we're going to move on to the body and probably, in maybe a couple parts or so, probably finish him up. Because I don't think there's a whole lot left. The head was kind of, I feel like, the hardest part. Now that we've kind of taken care of that, we should be good to go. The only problem I kind of foresee is maybe trouble with the coat. Because Fox, when I was doing the Fox one, I had a little bit of trouble. I mean, trying to kind of get it to look right. And where Peppy's coat is, it goes all the way down his body. Might be tricky with trying to keep his body in scale with the coat as well as his head. Anyway, get out some red now because we're going to use the red to sculpt his body. Lucky for me, I think there's actually a red that's very similar to this color. It just looks a little bit like sparkly. So if I run out of this, I have kind of a backup. I'd say maybe take half of this red, which I'm surprised this is kind of as flexible as it still is because it's been, um, a, like I said, a good like few days since I've recorded, and I really didn't put this stuff in bags very well. I just kind of threw it in there, so props to that. But so I think we're kind of gonna do like we did with Fox. We're kind of gonna do the kind of chest and then the legs separately, even though for Peppy it's kind of he's kind of more like a blob, and he doesn't have as many kind of distinct features like Fox. Again, warning with this red because it will stain your hands. So I would say that's a good start. I just think it might need to. I really didn't want to use this whole block of red, but I might have to. Alright, so I guess this is all that was left of the red that we didn't use, and we used all the rest of it, so I guess you're going to end up using most of the red for this. And kind of after you make it into a circle, just turn it into kind of an oval. And I think that's actually a really good scale. Like that. So, I don't have toothpicks here, which is going to be a problem, which means I'm going to have to stop the camera at some point to go get toothpicks. But I'll wait until we progress a little bit farther, because we weren't going to connect the head now anyway, so that's fine. Wow, that lack of toothpicks kind of threw me off. I guess we'll add some of the... I don't know if we want to add detail now or what we want to do. Where's my white? Alright, I think what we're gonna end up doing now is I'm gonna stop the camera because I have to go get toothpicks, and you really need to wipe your hands because this red, I'm gonna work with white now, and this red is like the worst red there is. It's not like the lighter red that we used for like Fox's bandana and stuff. Like this dark red will stain your hands and it's gonna completely ruin the clay. So I guess I'm gonna have to go get some supplies. I thought I was all set, but I'm not. Alright, so the next problem I foresee is my battery running out, which hopefully it won't do. But got my paper towels in my hand, and I'm going to do this and kind of off camera. Get all that red off. If you guys can see that, that will stain your clay, and you don't want that. Especially, like I said, this really dark red. Sometimes you can get away with it, but in this case you can't. So I have exactly 1.5 toothpicks left. We're going to have to make this last the whole way, I guess. I never thought I'd have to say I had to restock on toothpicks, but I kind of want to do this now because I think it's kind of going to build around the rest of, or to continue the model, we're going to have to build around the head, kind of on the body. So just like we've been doing, and I guess the head's a little bit harder than this clay. I'll put the toothpick in the head first, like that, and then, wow, this went too far in. Just trying to make this so that it's not going to give us a problem. And normally I would never attach the head this soon, But like I said, where Peppy is kind of his coat and stuff is all, all the way around, I feel like we're gonna need to work with his head being on his body like this to start. All right, so we got that. We're gonna actually jump to some detail because I kind of want to. I'm trying to think what I did for Fox. Oh, I was using some different artwork for Fox, so that's why he didn't have as much kind of intricate detail. Yeah, I don't think I put a whole lot of stuff on him. So, first off for Peppy, here's a bandana. So now we have to get the lighter red out, which again was from like the Fox one. And it's actually kind of hard. It didn't, which is ironic because it's been in the bag for a long time. So we got our red, and again, this isn't gonna really technically wrap all the way around the body. We're just gonna kind of flatten it, make a triangular shape, and then kind of pinch the sides. And actually, it doesn't even need to really be a triangle. I guess in this artwork, it's not really a triangle. I just remember in like this N64 stuff, like it was. Let me make it a little flatter. And there goes my battery. Yes, let's jinx it. Why not? The next worst thing that could happen is I finish sculpting this, I put him in the oven, and then he falls over. So we'll see if that actually happens. Anyway, now that I've kind of made a mess of my entire workspace here, which really bothers me now that I look at it, just, ugh. I don't know how clay just kind of gets all over the place for no reason. Anyway, alright, back to business. We're making Peppy's neckerchief thing. So kind of an oval shape and then pointed on both sides, which is kind of a shortcut from what we were doing before. And again, I'm only going to kind of put it to, maybe where his eyes are, going kind of down, because we're going to have the coat kind of all the way around his body, so we're not even going to really see the back. So that's what's up with that. Then it looks like he has a small kind of portion of a little area of black underneath this, so we could have probably put this on before we put the bandana on, but we can just simply push it up and kind of push it down, so we get that small little black piece, which is actually in the same shape more or less of the bandana. Now there's kind of a long thin line going all the way down, and this is actually brings up a good point about like when clay, or I don't know how to word it, but I was asked a couple times whether or not it's better to kind of paint clay or sculpt, details and stuff on clay. And I would kind of first suggest that, at least for me personally, I've never really been a fan of both techniques on one clay model. If you're gonna sculpt something, then just sculpt the whole thing. And if you're gonna sculpt in white, then just paint the whole thing. But I wanted to make a point of this because this is a really small kind of detailing line, and it's in a case like that where you could get a lot better detail if you ended up painting it on. Same thing with kind of the eyes and stuff too. And that's why, to a degree, I would prefer painting clay models over so much as just raw sculpting them with colored clay. Granted, both have their pros and cons, kind of, and there is an aspect of just, sculpting from the colored clay that you really can't get with the painted clay. But just kind of to make a note of, the smaller details and stuff, I would generally recommend, them looking better if they were painted on, but in our case, they can't be. So just thought I'd throw that out there because, again, kind of a small detailing line. So I'm not actually going to put on the belt and stuff now. See, I don't know. It's like I want to put the belt and stuff on now because I feel like we should just kind of, but I don't think I can because we have to finish with his legs and stuff. I guess finishing Peppy and stuff, going in weird orders rather than doing the head and then the body, then the arms and the legs. We're going to do, you know, the head and the body, then the legs, then more of the body, and then the arms. So I guess this is not a conventional clay tutorial. Alright, so I guess I'm going to move on to the legs now. So what we're going to do here is kind of like what we did with Fox. And actually, I'm not going to use any more of this red. I'm going to open up this other red that looks almost exactly like that dark red, but it's, I guess, a different color. More to the point where there are colors in this Sculpey pack that I really don't think are needed. Like this red that I'm using right now, even though, of course, I did need it to finish this clay model, but... Alright, so... I almost sounded like I said all red. Alright, so... take some of our red, and like I said, we're going to do what we did with Fox, which is make the clay into a circle, kind of elongate it a little bit. And what we're eventually going to do is essentially put it right, you know, right there. But that's a little too big, so I'm kind of going to mold it a little bit better, flatten it. I would say something like that is pretty good. Which again is kind of, I guess, just based on the eye, but I guess you could say about as much clay to go from where this line is down the middle to about the end of his body. That's a pretty good kind of reference point. So I'm gonna attach that, and I'm gonna conserve my last toothpick. Imagine it just like breaks in half. I hate it when like I have a toothpick and I'm trying to, you know, break a certain size piece off, and I end up like breaking it in half, and then it's like too big, then I have to break it into quarters, and then it's like it's too small, and then it's like I just wasted a toothpick. So where did we... right here. Now we'll stick that in like that, and we can use our technique to kind of push it in a little bit better so there's not that seam. One of the problems, more camera ranting, that I have when I have to stop the camera all the time is I don't know how long each of the takes were, so that when I start, you know, continuing recording on, you know, a new take, it's like, it says 6 minutes, but then I have to account for the other like 3 minutes and stuff that, you know, the other take was. So maybe after we get this far, I'll kind of end the part. I don't know, but anyway, we got this going on right now, and actually, you know, yeah, I'll do the other one and then end the part. So this I guess the other red color happened to be in that shape already, so I'll kind of just work with it, make sure it's in scale and size. It's pretty good. Oh, this toothpick is like really weird because it's not breaking right to begin with. I'm gonna have a problem maybe, but I don't know. We'll have to see. So put that in. Stick that in. Almost had a brief panic attack that, oh my gosh, I forgot if Peppy had a tail or not. But I remember we talked about that already, and he does not, or at least it's not visible. Alright, so I'm going to end this part right here, and we got both of the beginning of the legs down, which probably looks really weird now, but it won't once we actually, you know, continue working on them. So this is what we got so far. Get this clay out of the way. And, yeah, so we'll continue in the next part.